Okay, so
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum Assalam. Miss, can you tell your qualification and the area of interest?
My name is Dr. Javairia Karamat, and I am a nephrologist. I've done my post-graduation from Sheikh Zayed Hospital and from Lahore, and I'm currently working in Sheikh Zayed Hospital in nephrology department as a senior registrar. So my point of interest would be anything related to kidneys, in short.
Okay, so we would like to start with the questions. So the first question is, what are the major components of energy drinks and how do they affect our health?
Okay, for the energy drinks, we have more than 70 brands available in the market, and all of them have some basic components. The proportion might be different, but every one of them has three basic components. One of them is caffeine. Every energy drink does have caffeine, but the proportion, as I mentioned earlier, might be different. Some may have a higher proportion of caffeine, and some may have very negligible amount of caffeine. And the second major component is the sugar component. That may be in the form of artificial sweeteners or the proper sugars, which in turn increases its contents of sucrose and fructose. And third, since all of them are being carbonated, so they are also enriched by some minerals. They are rich in phosphate as well. So these are the basic components in every brand of the energy drink which is currently available. And as I mentioned earlier, proportion might be different, but the basic components are these three.
And how do these affect our health?
So in terms of caffeine, we are mostly in our household, we are familiar with the coffee, right? So what does caffeine does? I'll initially discuss generally and then what it does to the kidney. So generally what happens is there are some neurons whose activation in our brain would lead to, in short or in simple words, drowsiness, sleep, right? So what does caffeine do? That binds to those receptors. When those receptors are being occupied, so the actual ligands which would bind towards to those neurons and activate them and make us drowsy, caffeine will prevent that binding, and in turn it it keeps you awake. So what initially is done at the neuronal level, it keeps you initially awake, but once its effect vanishes off, it deconnects itself from those receptors, then there is a surge of increased drowsiness, you could say, increased sleep, increased inhibition of your neurons. And on kidney, what it does, in simple words, it increased your
This meeting is
urination.
being recorded.
Okay? So uh, when there is increased urination, it leads to dehydration, right? And with the dehydration, in our climate, which is very hot and humid, so our patients who are already a patient of CKD and further who get dehydrated, they are more prone towards renal failure. They are more prone towards stone formation. And since these drinks are very high in sugars, so these sugars basically what they do, in our sedentary lifestyle, they increase dyslipidemias, increase risk of hypertension, increase risk of diabetes, and according to PKRDS, which is our Pakistan Renal Database System, in that we collect data from all over the Pakistan regarding diseases in kidney related diseases. So it has been observed in the past 5 years that diabetes is the leading cause of renal failure. So you could say that these drinks are toxic directly as well as indirectly. How indirectly? Because they lead to higher sugar levels, and when this fructose is metabolized, it will ultimately leads to deposition in your adipose tissue. So how it will indirectly affect your kidneys? It will get yourself prone towards hypertension, towards diabetes, and all these things will lead eventually to renal failure. The sugar content in them may vary, but the problem with us is that with even most of the youngsters are using these energy drinks. So what happens is now our kids are more prone towards getting involved in the indoor games rather than proper having exercises, the outdoor games which was in past. So what happens with the sedentary lifestyle? This amount of sugar which you are ingesting with these energy drinks, this would lead to all these problems. This would lead to metabolic syndromes, obesity, and which would eventually lead to renal failures, increase incidence of renal failure. So these are some basic effects of direct and indirect on your renal system.
Our next question is, do such energy drinks affect our sleep cycle? And if so, how?
Your question is that does this these energy drinks affect our sleep cycle? Is it your complete question?
Yes.
Okay, yes, it does affect, as I have mentioned earlier, because these energy drinks are having more amount of caffeine, more around 20 to 50 times more than the content in your coffee. So yes, they does affect your sleep cycle in a form that initially they might keep you awake, which might make you feel
Yes, miss.
a bit energetic because major fuel in the body are the carbohydrates, and they are rich in carbohydrates. Along with that, the caffeine will affect the neurons and will keep you awake. But later on, in longer, in you could say in longer perspective, they would make you more drowsy. So yes, they does affect your sleep cycle.
Miss, the next question is, how do energy drinks increase and benefit our productivity?
Initially, they will affect, they will have a positive effect on your productivity in a form that they will keep you awake. Your drowsiness will be decreased, and the high amount of sugar, since they will provide a high energy source, so you will definitely feel energetic. But the end point is that they in turn make you, with the lifestyle that we are having now, a sedentary one, where we don't have a proper exercise or a proper output, physical output. So in the long term, they will depress your nervous system. But initially, yes, they do. They since they provide a very good source of energy, the sugars, the fuel, and along with that, the caffeine. So initially, you will definitely feel hyped up and arousable and very active. This question was addressed in the uh, first component as well, where I told you that at the level of neurons, it will the caffeine component will inhibit those neurons that are normally responsible for keeping you drowsy. So they will but generally initially they will keep you in a euphoric state or a pretty much active state, and this is regarding the neuronal system. But in the kidneys, they will affect by increasing your urination, and among the other parts of the body, they will get yourself prone towards hypertension. They will increase the adipose content of your body. They will make you obese, since they are very high, they are very rich in sugars. And further, among the your digestive tract, they will also affect that. How it will affect your digestive tract? It will make your gut motility a bit slower. They will relax your urinary bladder as well. So since they have effect on neurons and the nervous system, so they does affect mostly. They do, this caffeine component will affect mostly the autonomic nervous system as well. So they affect almost every part of your body. They will increase your insulin resistance. They definitely increase your inclination towards the dyslipidemias, increased adipose tissue, obesity, metabolic syndromes. And generally, this is all regarding effects of these energy drinks on body organs.
Our next question is, how do energy
Any
drinks
more
have
question?
an impact on our mental health?
So I have given you the basic perspective that how they affect the nervous system by inhibiting those neurons which make you drowsy, which make you depressed. So this is the basic effect on the nervous system. However, for further details, a neurologist would be better who could guide you. Its minute details, its effect on nervous system, since I'm concerned regarding the renal system.
Okay, the next question is, are energy drinks suitable for young adults?
Uh, they are not suitable in current situations, since our kids are, as I mentioned earlier, now our kids are more inclined towards indoor games rather than having outdoor games, a proper exercise. Okay, so this high sugar content from this much earlier age will definitely increase the incidence of hypertension, the dyslipidemias, the obesity, the diabetes. It's, this is a risk factor. High sugar intake is a risk factor in the absence of a proper exertion, in the absence of a proper physical activity. So just for the sake of for increased activity for time being, these are not currently recommended or beneficial for our kids even.
Do you think that government is taking any steps to control these energy drinks or warning about these effects?
No, currently Pakistani government is not. In fact, I'm not sure they are involved in any recording of the data that how much of these these brands or these energy drinks are being even consumed in Pakistan, right? And what population is being more affected by these energy drinks? Either it is the young population or the working, the middle aged people. So government currently is not addressing. In fact, these energy drinks are being advertised with a caption that they will increase your activity. They are always beneficial. Nobody is talking about their harm and effects. So currently in Pakistan, there hasn't been going on any awareness program either for the youngsters or for those who have already been affected in somehow or the other. Right? In our even renal patients, nobody is concerned with addressing these dietary risk factors for renal failure. They come in under the broad category of dietary risk factors: increase sugars, increase artificial sweeteners. So nobody is currently concerned with this. So okay, thank you. Any other question, or should I sign off?
Yes,
No,
Miss.
the
Those were
questions are ended.